Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave. Continuing to discuss Sankirtan and preaching Krishna consciousness. I was speaking yesterday about how we have to read our books to try and go on distributing. We have to be convinced. Unless we are convinced, we can't convince others. Because everyone in this material world is convinced that I am this body. I am the enjoyer. The purpose of life is to enjoy the sense. Everyone is fully convinced. To convince them of anything else is very difficult. It is only possible if we are convinced. And to remain strongly convinced, we have to go on reading Prabhupada's books. Reading means absorbing our minds in them, studying them very deeply. Also, when we're reading these books, we get so much inspiration that this knowledge is so wonderful, we want to share it with everybody else. Prabhupada's analyses are so brilliant that people should read it, they should know. I'm going to read a letter, 1973, Srila Prabhupada, after receiving the book sale figures from Los Angeles. With great happiness I have read your figures for the amount of books sold during the 3-day period. It is barely believable that more than 100 books sold, 17,000 sold by one. This was a tremendously high figure. Even now, if one temple can do so many books a day, it's very good. But we have seen since that time, book distribution has even increased far beyond. One of the devotees who was one of the first devotees out on Sankirtan, he told me some of the history of the early days of book distribution. That in the first days of the movement, they just used to go on Harinam Sankirtan, and people used to give them more donations. Then, Back to Godhead magazine was introduced, and the devotees started selling that with the Sankirtan part. It means they'd go and chant Hare Krishna and pass out magazines, and people would give them. Then, Prabhupada arranged for the printing of Krishna book, big book. He printed 5,000. In those days, there were just 2 temples. And Prabhupada said you should get $8 each for each book, which was quite a lot of money in those days. The value of money has gone down. So, none of the devotees had any idea how they could possibly distribute big books about Krishna. $8. They were used to pass out magazines with the Harinam parties and get $0.50 or maybe $1 maximum at a time. Mostly people just get $0.25, 25 cents. So Prabhupada had these books sent to all the different centers of ISKCON, and the devotees read them and they really liked Krishna. Most of the books simply took up a lot of space in the temple. And no one had the faintest idea how these books could possibly be distributed, nor that they could be distributed at all. Anyway, Prabhupada, seeing this situation after some time, said that if you don't distribute these books, then the movement is finished. Said, you can sit and look at these books and I'll go back to India. You can do whatever you like. So, because Prabhupada had been requesting the devotees again and again and again, please distribute these, please distribute them. And finally, when Prabhupada became so strong, then the devotees understood that actually Prabhupada wanted books distributed. So the leader of the temple president, Keshav, he thought, well, we better try and distribute these books. So he went out with a big book, Krishna book, and he came back at the end of the day and he said, I did it. I sold a book all day. Then eventually he doubled it, got up to 2 books. Then he took some other devotees out. He said, we can do it because we're selling 1 or 2. We just have to find out how to do it and then we can sell some more. This devotee was telling me the story. Yogesh Chandra told me some of the things that happened. One time he knocked on someone's house door and one lady opened the door and she'd never seen or heard of. There was a young man, big, strong, with a big smile, shaved hair, tilak, orange robe, and she started calling out, Henry, Henry, calling out to her husband. So husband came running. What's going on? So he said, well, I'm from the Hare Krishna movement and we have these nice books here. I'd like you to take one. So she said, well, how much they cost? $8. Oh, she said, that's all. You want to just give me $8, give him a book, take a book. Then one of the first time they were going out selling magazines, and they just used to carry some big books with them, Krishna, just in case someone wanted to buy one. Then one day on the way back from doing Harinam, they stopped at the gas station where they get gasoline. So the boy was filling up the gas. He saw that and he looked a little interested. What's that book about? So they showed it to him and he agreed he'd pay for the petrol and he'd take the book. So eventually they became convinced we can sell. And eventually they were going up to 5 books and they got up to 8 or 10 books a day. This was a revolution. No one had imagined such things could be done. No devotees couldn't imagine that you could sell a book about Krishna to ordinary members of the American public. And the news spread all over the movement to all 5 temples. And devotees in other places. San Francisco, they're selling 8 to 10 books each per man. So why don't we try and do it too? They found out, well, we can do it too. And book distribution is done. And eventually, I think it was in 1976, happened. First time that a devotee distributed 100 big books in a day. Because by this time the devotees had discovered the airport. These are very good places to distribute books. Because who can fly means they have more money, and often there are more educated people. So they found they could distribute many books there. So one devotee stayed 24 hours non-stop distributing books. Distributed 100 big books. It's not an easy thing to do, even today. So Prabhupada was very, very pleased. And all the devotees were amazed. But we've seen now, some devotees, they can distribute even 1,000 big books. I still can't understand how it's possible. Just from the point of view of time, just to meet someone, convince them to take a book, 2, 3, 4 books, and then go to someone else. Even then, it takes some time to meet each other. But anyway, Lord Chaitanya's transcendental mercy, that works in amazing ways. By His mercy, the impossible becomes possible. It is possible how these books can be distributed, so many all over the world. We can understand to some extent why people in India might want to buy it, because they're familiar with this culture. But in countries where people are accustomed to grossly sinful activity, why do they want to buy these books? Because the devotees are so convinced and enthusiastic themselves that the people see, oh, this person, he's got something, he's got some enthusiasm, but that enthusiasm that is communicated to them. So Prabhupada says that indicates to me, that means that so many books have been sold, indicate to me that people are at last becoming a little serious about this Krishna consciousness book country. Otherwise, why should they buy our books? Simple one. People are buying our books, that means they're taking some interest. People are interested. We will find that now you're just distributing books in Russia for a few years, but after some time you'll find that many people already have them. Then you'll go on distributing more books to the same people. You'll find that people will take interest. This is very encouraging signs that books are going out year after year after year. It means that the distribution of Krishna conscious books in a country, it becomes part of the accepted way of life in them. Just like in many countries, when we first started to distribute books, there was opposition, the police, people would claim, the police would try to stop us. I was personally arrested many times myself for distributing books in England. But the police, they don't bother any. They know you can arrest these people hundreds of times and they'll be out again. They won't offer. So it's become in other countries also. Germany, they were so much against us. Now it's, oh, Hare Krishna people distributing books. They know. They've seen it so many times. They're used to it. People know that's what we do. We distribute books. They don't know why. They can't maybe understand why we're doing it, but they know that's what we do. Become an accepted part of life in the cities of the West, of the whole world. Now, why do people buy books? Prabhupada says they can see that our boys and girls, devotees, are so much sincere and serious to do the message of Krishna consciousness that they are one drop by seeing them, and therefore they appreciate purchase. When they see a devotee, someone completely different. All of a sudden they meet someone who's fresh, bright, happy, who have something which they never saw before. At least in this country, many people. Our devotees, they are the best sales because they're convinced about what they're doing. Once in Germany, some of our devotees, they wanted to consult an advertising agency to find out, to get some idea how to sell more of our books. They wanted to take some training from them how to present our book. But the people in the advertising agency said, you don't need any training. Your book distributors, they're your best advert. Other times we've seen devotees, they're distributing books. And one devotee told me that one lady, she started asking him questions. Where are you from? How old are you? And all this. She said, I'm the manager of a group of hotels, and I'd like to make you the manager of one of them. She just met him on the street. She wanted to make him the manager because she was so impressed with his confidence, straightforwardness, and vision, with his friendliness. So he didn't become a hotel manager. But the point is that people are impressed. If you consider the number of full-time devotees in the movement, not very many. Still, this movement has made a tremendous impact on the world. Hare Krishna is known all over the world because our devotees are different people. The karmis, they can't understand them. Sometimes the psychologists, sociologists, they write some report and they try to give all the reason why people join the Hare Krishna movement, and they try to analyze from the point of view of Freud or some other rascal psychologist. But they can't explain how the devotees are experiencing transcendental bliss in terms of Freudian psychology. They can try, but they can't explain why people they dedicate their lives to go out and work hard to distribute these books day after day, year after year. They may try to say, many times they say that the sect or the cult, they brainwash their members who collect money and give it all to some big leader who enjoys some sense gratification. But they can't say this about our organization because Prabhupada is our leader, but at the present time, physically present with us, we don't have any one leader who's controlling everybody. And we do have leaders, but they also have to follow the principles. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, no going to the cinema, no watching TV. So what are they going to enjoy? They take all your money. What is that? And they also have to go to Mangalati, so all these things. They have to rise early and do the same things as you do. So that Prabhupada said that people are criticizing the movement, that you have nice cars, you don't work hard in some factory job like us, you have nice facilities. So they say, well, you're envious of us? You don't like that we have all these facilities, but we're not working like an ass like you? You can come and join us and share the same facilities with us. All you have to do is follow these principles, starting with rising early in the morning and dedicating all your life to Krishna, and enjoy whatever we're enjoying. And if you're afraid there's some big leader who's exploiting everyone, then you join. If you have years, you'll become a big leader. Big leader means he's also rising early in the morning, doing all the same things. So they can't explain Krishna consciousness is a failure. All their psychological reports are all useless. All their psychological reports are useless anyway, but especially when they try to comment on the Krishna conscious movement, it becomes particularly useless. This is another point because somehow or other, by the influence of Maya, some of the devotees in our movement, they're very much interested in reading books by Monday psychology. When we have all the knowledge need for self-realization of books, when the whole world is misled by these fools and rascals, and we're distributing these books so that people can get the right idea because they've got the wrong idea from Freud, Marx, Darwin, and all these rascals. So we're supposed to be giving the right idea to everybody. Somehow or other, some of our devotees, not many, few, they think that now we should read books, army, psychology, so-called management experts. But they're all mundane. They have no idea what the purpose of life is or how to. So if you read these books, then you also become influenced by their mundane method. We have the best psychology, very good course of treatment. It's universally effective. What is that? Chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, read Prabhupada. You'll be cured of your insanity. And you can read Freud till you die. You can read every day of your life. You won't understand anything. You won't understand you're not this body. You won't understand you're not. You won't understand your eternal self, Krishna. Freud can't teach you because he doesn't know his. Nor can anyone who is in Maya teach us anything of any ultimate value. Therefore, we are distributing reading the book, because the whole world is full of so many wrong ideas. This is the right idea. Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, everything in these books is 100% correct. Everything in these books is 100% for the welfare of humanity. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam by Supreme Lord, and the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam, which is the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vitertam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chani. Lord Krishna says that anything that is conceived of without a relation to me, that is all nonsense, all useless. So you may be a very good intellectual, psychologist, management expert, whatever, but if you don't understand your relation to Krishna, all your knowledge, all your so-called knowledge, one line or one word from Prabhupada was all the libraries of all the even the great writers, Tolstoy, whatever they're all in ignorance. They may have some little flashes of insight into the nature of human life, but they have no clear knowledge. What is the difference in the body and soul? What to speak of? What is the eternal duty of the living being? So this we have to be, that Krishna consciousness, this knowledge is required in the world. The whole world is misled by pseudo-intellectual. The whole West civilization based upon speculative mental concoction. Hundreds of years of useless imaginary speculation. That's why I say one line from Prabhupada, one word, more valuable than everything was so-called. Because this is actual knowledge, not some imagination. This is a fact. Everything in Prabhupada's book is true. That is the way to accept the Vedic. And we will find gradually that everything in Prabhupada's book is accepted as true by the mass of people. Often Prabhupada said things which he knew that people would find very difficult to understand. For instance, Prabhupada always was going on that they didn't go to the moon. That they did not go to the moon. Another thing, in liberal America, very clearly said that this woman's liberation is all it's all cheap. That the women, in the name of being equal, and they're left unprotected. So people didn't like it. They gave bad publicity because he spoke against some of the ideas which were very popular. But Prabhupada doctor, this is Vedic knowledge. So that is our task, to establish Vedic knowledge. Now one of the main problems in establishing this knowledge is the whole approach to knowledge in the West. Because they have no clear knowledge, they simply rely on their mental gymnastics. So the whole basis of their so-called knowledge is what they see through their sensual perception combined with fantastic imagination. But our whole system of understanding Krishna consciousness is quite different. We simply hear from us, and our authorities there also means unchanged. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, Vakya, Itete, Korea, Oika, Arana, Korea. What we hear from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, what is spoken by, what is given by them, that we fix up in our heart, not wanting them. So the whole approach to knowledge, is in itself faulty. They can never understand anything clearly. They're groping in the darkness of ignorance. You know this expression, groping in the dark? That means they're in the dark, they can't see, and they're just trying to find their way just by touching things. So people are groping in the darkness of ignorance. You can't understand what is the nature of God, what is the relation between God and the individual soul, by groping in the dark of ignorance. So even to convince people to accept the proper method of taking knowledge is not very easy. Suhotra Swami is now writing one book on epistemology. Epistemology means what is the method for receiving knowledge. This is very important, because otherwise people, they take our books and they think, well, this is someone's opinion. But you cannot actually understand the Vedic knowledge if you accept it in such a manner. Mostly intellectuals, when they read some book, they read it and they judge it according to their own. And if they like some of the ideas, they incorporate it into their own way of thinking. But the Vedic method of transmitting knowledge, that the individual approach to it is not considered very important. Rather, the individual should submit himself to the knowledge. Should just accept. And actually this is sensible, because what is a fact and should be accepted, not as a matter of. For instance, 2 + 2 = 4, it's not something to have an opinion about. It should just be accepted as a fact. So that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that we are all His eternal. So it's not a matter of opinion. So this is a fact which we should just accept. And if we accept it, then we can advance transcendental knowledge, transcendental understanding. Now, of course, when people see these books, just the way they design the very message itself, very authoritative. Still, it's difficult for most people to accept. Therefore, side by side with our book, Harinam Sankirtan, the best of all the other programs. Because actually the philosophy that we are distributing is highly elevated. And most people, they find it very difficult. I know myself, when I first read Prabhupada's books, I was still very difficult. Therefore, we have to meet the people, have public preaching programs, explain these points in simple terms, have Harinam Sankirtan so that people will become purified by hearing the Holy. When they're purified, then gradually they will accept Vedic knowledge on its own terms, and they will be able to understand. It's a great mission. We have lots of work ahead of us. No time for a holiday. Prabhupada said, work now, samadhi later. Some devotees thought that, well, Prabhupada said, work now, samadhi later. That about 20 years ago. So we've done our work, now we'll have samadhi. But at least in Russia you can't say that, because you have to distribute a full set of books in every house, first of all. And that hasn't been done anywhere. Prabhupada said, I want a full set of my books in every home. Actually, it's work now, samadhi. You work hard for Krishna, you'll be blissful now. It's not that we're doing book distribution, working hard, this is like something which we don't want to do, and then later we'll have earned the right to retire and do nothing. But rather, by doing this service, we will attain to Krishna consciousness. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the Karma Brahmana. This Karma Brahmana wanted to leave his home and go traveling with Chaitanya. He thought this would be aesthetic, wouldn't it? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you have work to do me right here. What is that work? Jare deko tare kaha Krishna upade, maraggai guru hoya taro. Wherever you go, wherever you meet, doctor, Messiah, Krishna. In this way you become a guru and deliver this land. And is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cheating him? That he won't get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu association? Simply he'll have to do some work, but he won't get any reward. So that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also explained. If you do this preaching work, as I'm telling you, then you won't be overcome by the waves of material existence. And at this very place you will get money. So that's actually the fact that if we engage fully, seriously in this preaching work, then we have the association. We can't go on with this in the of Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, those who are dedicated in the preaching work, they're always in the association. That someone asked me in Samara about my memories of being with Prabhupada. Samara, someone asked me about my memories of being with Srila Prabhupada. I was explaining that Prabhupada is here now. Wherever this movement is going on, Prabhupada is. This movement is not different from Prabhupada. Without his mercy and his guidance, it cannot go on. So wherever devotees come together, chant Hare Krishna, and make plans for spreading the Sankirtan movement, Prabhupada is certainly present there. He is present in the form of his instruction, his Vani form, which is not different from him. If we sincerely try to serve Srila Prabhupada by cooperating in the Sankirtan movement, Prabhupada will give us guidance. Therefore, Prabhupada writes here, that is unique in the world. That people are buying these books just by seeing our devotees. This is unique. Perhaps we are the only sincere person on this whole planet. Sincere means to surrender to Krishna. Surrender to Krishna in the modern age means surrender to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, engage in this. And Prabhupada says at least our books are not to be seen anywhere else. In other words, anyone who is sincere, they must be connected with this. So, Prabhupada writes, I am so much pleased upon all of the boys and girls in Los Angeles and all over the world who are understanding and appreciating this unique quality of our transcendental literature. And voluntarily they are going out to distribute, despite all circumstances of difficulty. By this effort alone, they are sure to go back home back to God. So who wants to go back home back to God? So how to do it? What have I just been reading from Prabhupada? Go out and distribute Prabhupada. Despite all difficulty, do it throughout your life. Prabhupada has promised you will go back to God. So if Prabhupada promises, that's a good promise. By his mercy, he will carry you back. We are all disqualified. We are not very self-controlled. Forgive me if I'm making offenses. This is a general observation. From very bad background. We're not suitable for spiritual. But Srila Prabhupada, footsteps of the Panchatattva. They have a little interest in Krishna consciousness? Okay, take them in. Take them in, shave their head, give them a dhoti and tilak, give them a bead bag in this hand and a book bag in this hand. Go out. Distribute, reach Krishna consciousness. This way you will become Paramahamsa by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and all the Acharyas. You'll go back to God. That once the devotee asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, are we going to go back to Godhead? Can we actually go back to Godhead in this life? Prabhupada said that, well, we're all working so hard to preach. We're sending other people back to Godhead, then we won't go ourselves. Certainly we will go. So don't even worry so much about it. If we preach sincerely, then Krishna will certainly look after us. So better we should worry about the others who they don't have the opportunity to go back because they don't have Prabhupada. At least we have to give them Prabhupada. At least give them the chance. Then they can take it or spoil it. That Prabhupada said that is our duty as preachers, to present the message of Krishna. And it is up to the individual whether they take it or not. Of course, we try in so many ways to attract people to this festival. Very important to give people a taste of the spiritual world. So many different programs. Our aim is to save people. The whole society is set up to, it's like the whole material world is like a big export house for sending people to hell. The whole educational system, the whole society is set up to make people a demon, so they will go to hell. So we want to re-establish Vedic culture. That by living in such a culture, people naturally become God. Whereas in the modern society, just by being a member of this society, you become a demon. So Prabhupada right here, in order to change this materialistic life and prevent them from gliding to hell, the first thing is to educate. You have to give them knowledge. At one time Prabhupada said that why am I stressing so much on positive distribution of knowledge? You have to give them education. People don't know. It's the greatest disaster in the world that people don't know they're going to hell by their sinful activity. They think it's normal just to eat meat and drink alcohol. It's a normal thing to do. And it is. In modern Western life, it's a normal thing to eat meat, drink wine, have a little gambling, all these things. So people think, well, what's wrong with that? Normal. I did it since my childhood. Everyone else does it. Oh, people don't know. Simple. You'll get the reaction. You'll have to suffer. People don't know. You have to give them these books. So many times I've had this. People walk up to me. I read in your book that meat eating is sin. Really true? Yes, sir, 100%. You're going to get sinful reaction. Better stop. So people find it difficult to them. But those who are a little pious, they understand. Actually, this is correct. This is so for a devotee, this is the greatest happiness. This is happiness much better than feeling the Mahaprasad Rasula. That's also happiness. But the greatest happiness is seeing someone's life change. Why did Prabhupada go all over the world in his old age? So much difficult. How did he remain inspired by so many difficulties? And there were many difficulties. Because often his disciples, they didn't behave properly. Some of them, they actually turned out to be wrath. They misused what Prabhupada taught them. And many times the disciples are just plain foolish and made stupid things. It's not easy to preach and spread Krishna consciousness. But why did Prabhupada go on and on? What inspired him? Prabhupada explained that in London. One newspaper reporter asked that why is he doing this? Always traveling. Prabhupada said, when I see so many young boys and girls, they have got life for that. Sometimes we go through a lot of difficulty for a long time in spreading Krishna. Then if we find even one person taking sincere interest in the knowledge in these books, we feel, just like Vasudeva Datta said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let me take all these sinful reactions of all the living entities in the universe, let them all go back to this is the mode of a devotee. Whatever difficulties are there, even if these people are calling me bad names or attacking me or whatever, somehow or other, at some point in time, if at least one person can take up Krishna consciousness, and it's all well. And even if no one takes up Krishna, at least that is my duty. It is my duty to try to save them. But actually here in Russia, you're finding that many people are interested in Krishna, taking it up. You're very fortunate to have such a good teaching field. Now don't violent, don't misbehave with people, don't fight among yourselves. Just cool-headedly go on preaching Krishna. Prabhupada writes, all decent men men want to give service to humanity. All decent men want to give service to humanity. The only thing is they do not have information about what is really service. Hospital, feeding people, Red Cross, these are service to the body only, not to the man. Service to humanity means Yan. By giving people knowledge, Yan, that is the highest service. That is the highest service to humanity. So we are performing the actual welfare work by informing everyone through our literature who is God, who they are, and what is the relation. In this way, everyone who hears our message gets the opportunity to fulfill his actual position as human entity and become delivered from the clutches of Maya. What wonderful, what great work this is. Giving this knowledge of